All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today, this beautiful Friday morning. That there. All right, as always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. So real quick, drop me one in the chat if you can hear me okay, and we will get this thing rocking. Perfect. All right. Cool deal. All right, let's hop over to things a little backwards here. Let's hop over to trading economics, take a look at what transpired yesterday. Some interesting happening. So let's slide over there and see what we see. All right, cool. So Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. Ryan, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I appreciate you filling in for me.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yeah, yep. Indeed, doing pretty good though.
Cool. Appreciate you, man. JC, you got your hand raised. You got a question?
Hey, I don't. I didn't even know that was on. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, cool. So let's rock. What up, Joy? British economy stagnates in Q3. British economy stalled in Q3, the weakest performance in 4 quarters, but beat the forecast of 0.1% contraction. The services experienced a slight contraction while construction grew a little and production was flat. Right, so that's out of the UK. But the bigger news is right here. Federal Reserve kept the target range for the federal funds rate at a 22-year high of 5.25% for a second consecutive time in November, reflecting. Is this old? Hold on one second. Why is that there? No, that's right. Why is it reading that way? It's not what I just read. Let me read this other one instead, because that's different than what's there. Fed Chair Powell spoke yesterday. Dollar index held above 105 on Friday and was set to finish higher as Federal Reserve officials pushed back against speculation that U.S. interest rates already peaked. Jerome Powell said on Thursday that the central bank is not confident that it has done enough to bring down inflation. Fed Governor Michelle Bowman also previously flagged the possibility of further rate hikes due to the strength of the economy, while Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkar said that it's too soon to declare victory over inflation. On the data front, U.S. weekly job claims fell by 3,000 to 217,000 last week compared to expectation of 218,000, and followed an upwardly revised 220,000 in the previous period. The dollar is on track to end the week higher against most major currencies, with most pronounced buying activity versus the Aussie, following dovish signals from Reserve Bank of Australia. So, what is this saying? We still potentially have inflation issues. right? The data's come out and shown some of those things, right? The Fed still chose to hold the rate at the last meeting. However, they don't want people to get too excited just yet, right? So things could change. Things could change. So this will be interesting to watch. We'll take a look at the dollar, see where it is, see where it pushed, and we'll see what happens as we continue to move forward. But the Fed not convinced that inflation is done, right? It's also impacted other markets. So European equity markets declined on Friday, with the DAX and Stoxx 600 both down 0.5%, following warnings from Federal Reserve Jerome Powell about potential need for further interest rate increases to control inflation. Powell emphasized a cautious approach, but noted a willingness to tighten policy if necessary. In economic news, initial figures indicated that the UK economy remained stagnant for the third quarter. Corporate earnings reports continued to influence individual share prices as Allianz experienced a 2% increase in shares despite a 30% drop in third quarter net profit. The company maintained its 2023 operating profit target despite Friday's dip. European stocks were poised for a second consecutive week's gain. So other markets are being impacted by the words from the Federal Reserve. So we'll continue to monitor that and see what transpires today. Over to the calendar. Those are notes. So yesterday, there's those unemployment claims there. Christine Lagarde also spoke yesterday. I didn't get a chance to take a look and see what any notes from there. RBA monetary policy statement. Those are notes from their meeting. And overall, it was dovish. So today, here's that GDP data coming out of the UK. And then later on this morning, 7:30, we got Christine Lagarde speaking again. FOMC member Logan speaks. And then U of M consumer sentiment at 10 o'clock. Right. So a little slower day today, but we still could have some impact from the central bank speakers and FOMC member. So that's where we are from a fundamental perspective. Benny, anything stand out for you, bro?
I'm trading 80-20s, man, because they don't know. Like
they don't know.
He's talking because you have to control the greed in the market. You know, I was reading an article that one of the Goldman Sachs chief economists predicts no recession despite Fed rate hikes. Like, come on, man.
No recession?
Yeah, despite the hikes. Like, come on, man. Like,
interesting.
It's a mess. That's why he's talking. That's why he's talking up the possibility, right, of more hikes and restrictive. Because how are you going to solve the inflation issue if the market just keeps raging on and everybody is acting like it's not happening?
Yeah.
Like it's so like that.
It begs for an interesting conversation because they say generally you don't see the full impact of the rate hikes until it's like 16 to 18 months after the last hike, after the last increase. So it'll be an interesting conversation.
No, we're now they raise the rates, right? And this is just as an example of what you're saying. Like orange juice was just $8 at the grocery store the other day.
Facts.
Like we're just now getting like it's just not. You could tell, right? Like everything is just now starting to accelerate. So it's like, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so it's it's a mess. And why I say 80-20 is because it's just like you trade what you see. You play the technical setup because they've still got a lot to work out. I mean, it's a market that's driven by fear and greed, and they're gonna keep pressing these investors until something breaks, and then they're all gonna pass blame.
Yep.
But they're already hedged though. You see what I'm saying? And so
Yeah, yeah.
and so that's why when I look at this thing from this Goldman Sachs here, I'm just like, come on, man. They have the ability to drive sentiment and drive markets because they're powerful. But I mean, if you're on the ground, you're feeling this and you're seeing it, right? You're reading the credit reports the same. Like at least here in America, like people are maxed out.
Maxed out, but
When they
the banks are still trying to get more money too, though.
right. So so I just manage your household, according to what you're seeing and what you're feeling. But I'm not buying all of it, but I don't blame them for um trying to talk these rate hike fears up because it's just like it's out of control.
Yeah, yeah.
It's out of control. On another front, for people who trade who might be trading stock in Apple and things like that, like this guy hit with a $25 million settlement over U.S. immigrant hiring practices.
Who was that?
Apple
Dang.
by the Department of Justice, right, for
Wow.
citizenship discrimination.
Wow.
So
That'll be
favoring,
interesting.
yeah, favoring immigrants for over U.S. citizens that are highly qualified for
Interesting.
these positions. But it's just
Wow.
it's just a machine at work, man. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. That's all I
Uh,
Mhm.
it is definitely interesting because, like, literally this week, I got I got an email from our mortgage lender, um, wanting us to do a cash out refinance.
Of course, of course.
I'm like, come on, I'm not about to do this right now
I
at
know.
twice, 2.5 times the interest rate that I have.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. But there are a lot of people that don't understand what that is, and they'll be quick to take the money because and a lot of people cash strap, right? So, well, I'll go take the
Mhm.
money because I need it. But how are you now going to pay this note that's even higher, right?
Yep. A note that's even higher. So if people aren't refinancing on their homes and people aren't buying homes, then what happens, right? And I think we're just at the beginning of that.
Just at the beginning of it.
You
Yep,
know,
I agree with that.
that creates a housing market issue. Now you go and refinance and you take a loan that you can't pay. Now you lose your home, and we're sitting
Yep.
there in 2008 all over again. So it's yeah, I think it's fascinating to watch it all play out. Especially when you have a whole lot more knowledge than when this happened the last time. So
Exactly.
you can kind of see it coming. I'm not a doomsday guy, but I'm not buying what some of these investors and people that I'm seeing are selling.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to be internal optimists because they're on the buy side. They're trying to buy dips. So you just have to be careful. But
Yeah. Yeah. See those
great
signs.
topic to discuss.
Yeah, man, for sure. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I hope this triggers down because my company uses offshore vendors for work we can do and work they can prevent. Yeah, Joy, it'll be interesting to see how other companies are impacted. It could be a little different from with some because with Apple, these were like literally just internal hires, um, and they were turning down U.S. employees as opposed to a lot of companies. They'll do more. They'll work more with contingent companies and have those offshore workers working through those contingent companies. So it's a little different arrangement with some of those, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well. Oh, they did hire someone men. That'll be interesting to see. That'll definitely be interesting to see. All right, cool deal. So let's hop over to the charts and see what we
Yeah.
see.
But that's just capitalism right at work.
Capitalism at work.
It's ultimately a race to the bottom.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what
Yep.
uh that's what happened. So we'll see how it plays out. It moves in cycles.
Exactly. So this is where we are, good people. This is the 4-hour DXY. Price pushed down to that 50% retracement level, and then it's been up ever since, right? Pushing back into that zone of consolidation that we had previously broken out of. So we'll see what continues to transpire if price continues to push to the upside, or we're able to get things to turn over and move back down. But we're moving to the upside nonetheless right now. All right. So we will continue to watch the DXY and see how it moves. That move down took out the high on the 1. So we'll flip the fib and run it to the downside. And that took out the fib on the other side. So, right, more consolidation for us on the lower time frame. So there we are there. Right, on the DXY, got 80-20 scenario here. Probably, based on the current sentiment, we might push up and hit that D extension there. So we'll watch that and see. We're pressing sideways right now. All right. So that's the DXY. I want to take a look at this Aussie CAD real quick. So overall, right, been moving to the downside. We had this nice retracement 618 level, and we're pressing down now, coming back into previous consolidation zones here, right? Previous resistance here, and we're pressing down into that zone. So as we come down to the 4, right, still downward pressure here. 618 retracement, right? Matching the extensions down here at 84,857. So still more downward movement potentially to go. The question is going to be, how does price move, right? Do we retest these resistance levels and then bounce back to the upside, or do we continue to break through and move down? Coming to the 1, we're still inside the AB boundary here, just barely, right? Just barely inside the AB boundary, so 8-6 retracement here on the 1 hour. Let me flip the fib here real quick just to see. Okay, yeah. So the extension is there at the A boundary. So this will be an interesting one to watch and see. Down on the 5-minute, we got 80-20 scenario here. In consolidation right now, we're pressing back down to the bottom of that consolidation zone. So let's use extra confirmation here. However, right, this is the opportunity here. All right. And if we hit that D extension, will be close to that D extension on the 1 hour as well. So we'll watch that and see if we get some movement back to the upside. Like so. Then we'll see how the Canadian dollar moves and also how oil moves. We'll take a look there as well. We got another 80-20 on oil also. So bingo. There we go. All right. So there's an 80-20 on the 5-minute on the Aussie CAD. Use some additional confirmation here. Stop loss 14 pips, take profit 27. But potentially intraday trade there if we get price to turn over and press back to the upside. All right. Let's run a trend line down. Boom. Let's see if we get a break. Oh, we didn't want that green. Questions on the Aussie CAD?
Nope.
Nope. All right, cool deal. So we'll keep our eyes there. While we're talking about it, let's go over to oil real quick. Here on the 1 hour. Whoops. I'll go top down as well, but 80-20 scenario here on oil. We didn't push down into that support level like we thought, but we're starting to try to turn over here. So we'll watch and see if we're able to get price to really start to move, but push down into that 118, 127 zone and currently making higher lows, right? So we'll see if we're able to push to the upside and continue moving along. If we do, right, we could see that Canadian dollar make its move as well in some of these crosses. So let's come back to the higher time frame and see what this looks like. Boom. right? This zone here is the sub fib D extension, which is also in line with the 618 retracement level. So we'll see what happens here. If we get this morning start of form, right? If we close bullish here, we could see prices turn over and rise from there, not get to that sub 50 extension. So that'll be something to watch and see. All right, this is a previous support level. So we'll see if we're able to break above that, continue moving higher, right? That's on the daily time frame. So a couple scenarios to watch. Do we push higher or do we turn over and press down first and then give us that move to the upside? Coming down to the 4. Here we are here. Boom. And got an 80-20 on the 4 as well, right? Similar scenario to that 1 hour time frame, right? And this is our capital fib on the 4. Right, so trying to press to the upside, so we could be in motion on this one, turn over and pressing long. So we'll watch if we're able to break back above the 77.58, right? We could be in for that move and potentially even a longer one to the upside on oil. Okay, and there we are back on the 1. Questions here on oil?
Nope.
No. All right, cool deal. Couple updates. The S&P 500 on the 30-minute. We talked about the past couple days. Pushed down that TP1 level, right? On that that press conference yesterday, right? So boom, TP1 hit, right? And potentially more to go from a higher time frame perspective, right? On the 1 hour, this is what that looks like, right? So we're broke in the trend line. We're sitting at that outer trend line now. Still more movement to the downside to go to get to that 382. Actually, that got taken out. Now that I'm looking at that. So on the 1 hour, this one is not valid. That would have been our new fib on the 1. All right, so that longer move is not valid. So I take that back, guys. I take it back. There we are on the 4. Let me see something real quick here. My bad. Oh, there we go. That's the 4 hour look, right? So on the 4, more opportunity to the downside, right? We're trying to break that outer trend line, right? So we could get more bearish action here. We'll see how things transpire, but we could still be on the move to the downside. If we see this happen, right, then we could also see that dollar continue to rise, right? So there's that look on the 4.
Market doesn't like a hawkish Fed, man.
Does not, right? They're gonna run from it every time. Oh, Benny, what about the 30-year bond auction that happened yesterday? You got any thoughts there?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I'll take a look at it though.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Let me know what you think on that one when you do. Curious to hear your thoughts on that.
No doubt.
The other thing to watch here, right, is so we came to this weekly resistance level. It held, right, and we're pressing down. We talked about this also early in the week, but we could potentially be, not this pattern. We could potentially be in for a head and shoulders here, right? That level held on this other side, boom, right? Do we get a deep retracement here on the 4 and then see a move to the upside? It's not taking it for me, but do we see that action happen? All right. So that's something I also have my eyes on, as well as, do we get that nice deep retracement, and then do we get prices turn over and press back to the upside? All right. Do we see the narrative change? So something to watch, something to keep our eyes on, keep in the back of our mind. Okay. Yeah, so I just played the 30-minute on this one, and I closed mine out. But any questions on the S&P 500? like Benny said, playing those 80-20s, man, right? And just take those time and time and time again, and we'll continue to make money here. All right. Cool deal. No questions there. I want to take a look at this Euro NZD. Just want to see where this one is. Pressing back long. Still high in the zone there. Kind of pressing sideways. We had that nice deep retracement here, and we're pressing long. So this one would be interesting, right? So we're retesting these support levels here, but do we continue pressing to the upside and get back to 182,623? If we break that level, obviously the D extension then is in sight. So this is a level I'm going to be watching here. I'm curious to see how this moves, right? With the Fed kind of changing their tone a bit, that could obviously cause the commodity currencies to take a back seat, which will cause this to continue to rise. So we'll watch and see how things transpire here. So I'm interested to see what happens in this zone. Not an 80-20 scenario, but I'm watching this just from a higher time frame perspective. Because overall my bias on this one was short. So watching to see what happens there. Down on the one, right? This is the move on the one. That was the 80-20 that played out. Actually got a nice deep retracement, 8-6 level, and then price turnover and pressing back to the upside. So, right, from a 1 hour perspective, we could potentially get back to at least the middle of this range, and then maybe the top of the range, and get that D extension on the C to D move back to that 118 level, and then we can see what happens from there. So we'll continue to watch this and see how high it pushes, right? But we could be in for another ride to the upside, at least in the short term. So we'll see. Just wanted to update that one and see what was happening there. Potential inverted pattern. Right. Yes, JC, right here. Crown pattern. Maybe head and shoulders. Yep. Good eye. Good eye, good eye, good eye. Right. So let's see what that measures out as. 50% retracement. So that puts it back in line, right? So that D extension off that crown pattern fib puts us in line with that 118, 127, with that 118 D extension there. I see it. So, right, that additional confluence there that we could be in for another push to the upside, getting at least back to the top of this previous range here. Appreciate that, JC. All right, so we'll watch that and we'll continue to allow that one to run to the upside for a little while, and then we'll see if we get a catalyst to flip that. All right. Any questions on the Euro NZD? Nope. All right. And I know I'm bouncing around a bit, but just want to update on a few things. That dollar, so this dollar yen first. We're back above 150, right? Let's go back to the daily here. And this just continues to play out as we originally expected. And we could very likely get to that D extension. So again, 618 retracement, right? D extension 152.205, right? So we're chugging along. We had this retracement. We weren't able to break that support level, turned over and pressing back to the upside, back above 150, headed to 152, right? Which is that D extension, 152.205. So got a monthly resistance in line with that as well. So we could push those levels. So we'll watch that and see what happens. Over the weekend, I'll keep an eye on the Bank of Japan and see if anything comes out there. But not really strong impulsive moves, but it's moving to the upside. So we'll watch and see if things escalate through the day to day. Coming down to the 4, and we're looking at this 80-20 scenario here, right? and we had broke that sharp inner trend line there, but we weren't able to fully break down. So headed back to the top, more range type action here. More range type action here that we might see as we get to the D extension on the 4-hour and potentially even the D extension here on the daily and potentially here on the 4 as well. So we'll watch this 151.941 level and see what happens. But we're getting closer to these higher levels that that we've been talking about, right? Because we're talking about long yen, right? We're getting to these higher levels on these yen crosses. So I'm intrigued to see what happens once we get to these D extensions. So at the highest, 152.311 is the 4-hour D extension, 152.205 is the daily D extension. So we'll watch those levels there coming down to the 1. Run the fibs off the low. Right, that D extension is a bit higher at 154. We may not get there, but at least into this 118, 127 range there. So watch, keep your eyes on this dollar yen. We'll keep our eyes on the dollar as well and see how things move, right? This will definitely be interesting. This is where Bank of Japan came in last time, 151.941, and took action. So we'll see if we get that. Excuse me, if we get that again. All right. Questions on the dollar yen. All right. I just want us to be aware in the back of our minds on some of these.
Right. What do your weekly look like again? I'm sorry.
On the weekly, well, let's see. I didn't look at that one. I looked at the weekly in a minute. There you go. And make sure. Yep, coming off the low there. Yep. So 80-20. Actually, no. The extension got hit there. So this would actually be, clear this out. Whoops. Let me clear that out. This will be the new fib here. That'll be the new fib there.
Where you start your fib at? Oh, okay. 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 I started mine off wrong.
Yep. So we'll see what happens. See if we break this level and push higher. Interesting. We'll see. We'll see, right? Strong bullish action from a weekly time frame perspective. We'll see if the Bank of Japan has anything to say about it anytime soon. All right. Dollar CAD. This one is getting close to stopping us out here, right? It's on the 1-hour 80-20 scenario. We got a nice push down. But then, right, with that news from Jerome Powell, we're getting close to that D extension there on the 1. All right, so we'll watch that and see what type of action we get. But we definitely could likely, we're just shy of it now, definitely likely hit that 1-hour D extension. So this one could be a stop out for us on the dollar CAD, right? But overall, when zooming back, 50% retracement off the daily fib. Nope, my bad. 618 retracement off the daily fib, and we're pushing long. So it kind of makes sense for a price to push to the upside, but overall, we'll see what happens with the dollar and how long this bullish action takes place, right? Until the narrative changes. So that's where we are on the dollar, on the daily, down to the 4. Run the fib off the low. Boom. right? So all signs are pointing to the upside there. We'll watch and see what happens and see if anything is able to change that narrative for the dollar. Yeah. So that's where we are on the dollar CAD. The other thing that just popped into my mind regarding the interest rate hikes, right? It's gonna. Ben was talking about how Goldman Sachs said no recession in sight. If they raise rates again, right, you still have banks that are in bad situations when it comes to bonds that are underwater, and you have companies that are also in bad situations that also have some of these bonds and just overspent in general, right? So the higher interest rates are going to impact them negatively as well, right? So it's going to continue to stack up and going to continue to cause concern from that perspective also. And that's not even talking about the commercial real estate issues that we're going to have in the next 12-ish months, when these companies have to renew their loans on their buildings, right? And those loans are going to be 2-3 times the rate that they had previously, and how many aren't going to be able to afford a rate that high because some of them don't have tenants in those buildings, right? So tons of more impacts to come along with another rate hike if we do see it, right? If the economy continues to remain strong, right, we could see some more issues. So just another thought popped into my head there. Any questions on the dollar CAD? Nope. Cool deal. So JC asked, was COVID ripple or just regular economics taking its course? So part of it is due to COVID, right? Because the commercial real estate loans, they're not like regular mortgages, right? They renew I believe it's every 3 to 5 years. And I think the number is something crazy like 65 or 70% of commercial loans are going to be up for renewal in the next 12 to 18 months, right? And they all got these renewals during that COVID period. But so it's COVID, but it's also the cycle, right? The regular cycle of them renewing these loans. But the impact from COVID is they had extremely low interest rates then, right? And these extremely low interest rates are double and triple now. So they're going to be in a state where the payments are going to be extremely high. And there are owners of these buildings that haven't been able to refill those buildings to capacity. So they're not getting the rent for the space, right? They're not getting the rent for the space. They're not going to be able to pay this note that's 2 and 3 times what they were paying previously. So either they're going to try to sell those buildings, which is anybody going to get another loan at the high interest rate for that building? Is it worth it to them? Or they're going to just walk away from those notes. If they walk away from those notes, then the bank also has to eat that cost as well, and then try to sell that building or get that building, get a mortgage on that building from someone else at whatever cost they can get for it, right? So now the banks are also going to have to eat that cost as well, on top of the bad bonds that the bonds that they have that are underwater. So they're going to be losing money on two sides, right? So that's going to be a double impact for banks that are still in that have concerns, right? More regional banks. I think that last round of downgrades, there was something like 12 or 15 regional banks that were downgraded or listed as concerning, right? Because they still have these bad bonds on their books, right? And so that piece isn't over yet. This is nobody's talking about it right now. So these are things that are going to happen. Yes, some due to COVID, with low interest rates, but also it's the normal cycle coming into play at the same time with the Fed continuing to increase interest rates, right? So it's multiple layers to it. So going back to the whole recession conversation, right? Those pieces are also going to be impacts in that potential recession, right? Because it all is going to flow together kind of at the same time. So it's an interesting conversation, something interesting to look into and continue to watch. And for us as traders, but also potentially, right, investors, being financially smart now, so that when the opportunities do come around, like Benny said, we know more now than we did the last time something like this happened. So hopefully we'll be in a position to be able to take advantage of some of these opportunities if they come, right? So my 2 cents.
Thanks, Ryan. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Does that also go into the account that we see these banks closing and bankrupting, like here and there, kind of like slowly going down? That has a lot to do with what we're seeing now, kind of coming to a head.
Yeah, right. Because if they have liquidity issues, right? We saw some of those banks close early in the year due to liquidity issues, right? And runs on the bank because they were underwater, and people had that fear and concern that the market is driven by, right? You hear Benny say it all the time. So that fear and concern, as that peaks again, you'll see more people running and taking their money out of some of these other banks, right? And then you'll see those banks go under as well because they don't have them. They don't have the liquidity to handle the bonds that they're not able to get out of, right? Or they're not able to float through. They don't have the capitals. And when people are concerned, they're going to take their money out. So it's a double whammy, right? So yeah, it'll definitely lead to that. And then, if they make it to the point where those commercial real estate loans also are coming due and people walk away from them, that's going to be another impact to those. And can they handle all of these impacts at the same time, back to back to back to back? So it'll be interesting to see. Hope that made sense. Absolutely. So, so that's where we are there. What else did I want to look at? Looked at the Euro, NZD, dollar Swiss. Yep. So we definitely look at that one. With the dollar pushing back to the upside on this dollar Swiss, it's trying to turn back over, right? So coming back to the daily time frame here, right? We were looking at this one for this longer term swing, right? So kind of playing into our thought of price moving to the upside, 618 retracement here, price pushing long, we got a nice pullback, right? And so it makes sense. This movement makes sense, right? Push to the upside, pull back, long bullish move, take back some of what it gained, right? And the waves continue. So we're turning back over and pressing back to the upside here, right? So we'll see if we're able to continue that moving forward. Coming down to the 4, right? Where you see this a little bit better here, right? And you got that push, pull back, and now we're moving back long, right? So we'll monitor this one. We can monitor off the daily or the 4-hour. I took my entry on this one off of the 4-hour, off of a cloud break on the 4, right? Cloud break there. So that's where my entry came. And we'll see, right? So that pullback pushed us right into the cloud. We didn't break below the cloud, right? Consolidated there. We stayed in the cloud. Now, do we push back to the upside and get our confirmations of the cloud moving back north, right? So pullback made sense. Pulled us right back into, the C to D sweet spot that we like. And now we're pushing back to the upside there. So that's on the 4, coming down to the 1. I'm going to take the cloud off. Run the fib off the low first. Yeah. Coming back down. And that's the movement there. That's the active fib, AB boundary coming to the downside, price moving long. Right. So if the dollar continues to run to the upside, we'll see price continue to run to the upside as well. Right. And there's our sub fib there. Pull back, looking for price to continue long there. So that's where we are on the dollar Swiss, right? Still playing out. This will be a longer term move, right? But right, as long as the dollar continues to push to the upside and we don't have any safe haven action, right, we'll see this one continue to run long. Okay. Questions on the dollar Swiss? Nope. Cool deal. Cool deal. Cool deal. Boom. Looked at oil there. Take a quick look at some of these other yen crosses. Yep, still pushing to the upside on the CAD yen. Just going to take quick peeks here, not going to dive into them because they're doing what we thought. That one's long. Euro yen. Also pushing long. Cool. So this euro yen, right? This is another one. Watching these higher ranges. Benny talked about it yesterday, right? So still want to see it's inching closer and closer to that 118, 127 zone there, right? And 170, 169 is a dream level for me. I don't know that we get there, but we could push into this 118 and 127 zone and continues to rise, right? So we'll continue to watch these. Maybe. There we go. Right. There's an 80-20 on the 4, right? The extension is inside there on that push to the upside on the 4. And then on the 1, right, this 118, 127 zone is just shy of that zone. So 80-20 is lining up from a higher time frame perspective, D extension on the 4 hour. So looking for this one to push into this zone and potentially even a bit higher, and then give us an opportunity to get short on that euro yen. So we'll watch that through next. We'll watch those yens through next week and see if we get any changes on those. Euro dollar kind of stuck. Kind of stuck here on the 1, right? Just shy of that 382, 106.585. No, just tap that 382 there on the low. So, but just pressing sideways, right? You got dovishness in the euro and a hawkish Fed. This will be interesting to see what Christine Lagarde comes to the microphone here shortly. So those are the updates that I had. Benny, you have anything you got your eyes on right now, bro?
I posted what was it? I posted the NZD CAD. There was a move on the NZD CAD last night that I was looking at. You covered the other ones. That was the main one, that NZD CAD.
NZD CAD.
But things kind of slowed down. It's been a big week, so
It
I
has
don't want to
been.
overdo it. I mean, we got busted up on that. Well, the dollar CAD still hanging in there. It
It's
ain't hit my
still
stop
hanging in
yet.
there.
But
It
that
hasn't hit the stop yet. It's still hanging.
yeah, that news yesterday kind of I thought it would have hit it by now, but it didn't. So
Yeah.
there's an 80-20 NZD CAD on the 30 minute,
30.
but it's just moving sideways right now.
Okay. Look at it from a higher time frame, see where we are. So that's the daily time frame coming down to the 4, similar deal. Let's go to the 30. You got it running off the top here. Boom. There's 80-20 there on the NZD CAD off the high. Let's double check. Yep. So we'll watch this one pressing sideways right now, similar to that Aussie CAD, right? Almost identical. Okay, so there's the scenario there. So we'll watch that one as well. See if we get a catalyst to push this one to the upside. Appreciate the heads up on that one, bro. I did miss that.
Yep, I think it's got like a 17 pip stop, 32 pip TP1, 43 pip TP2.
Cool.
It's amazing. Like it's like a rhythm to it, right? It's like they move in cycles. Like you said, this is kind of
Yeah.
identical to the Aussie CAD, and you know, so definitely been putting a lot of study into it.
Yeah, man. It definitely is, dude. And it's absolutely fascinating, man. Absolutely fascinating. Team, you guys got anything you got your eyes on you want me to take a look at? We got about 8 or 10 minutes remaining in the session this morning. Gold, yes, ma'am. Boom. That's the 4. Whoops.
We got TP1 hit on the 80-20. It was a mess getting there, but
Yep. Let's see. Pulling back as we thought, coming out of that zone on the 4. There was that move.
Joey said a TP hit. Congrats.
TP
Good
hit.
job.
I love it.
Good job.
I love it. Drop some 7s for Joy. Boom. So on the 1 hour, let me clear this out. Let me get back there. All right. So on the 1, right, 80-20 scenario, it was dicey, right? It was dicey. But TP1 achieved. Boom. Right. Now we're trying to continue to press to the downside. We'll see what happens there. We do have another, let's go down to the 30 to see this one. Not that. We'll watch to see if we get a pullback on any of this at any point. Oh, so that is just on the 1. Come here to the 1, right? 80-20 scenario here on the sub fib to the downside. So we'll see if we get a pullback and then a continuation. So we'll watch and see what happens here. See if we get this action like that. Right? Use additional confirmation here, but another 80-20 scenario on a pullback. Right? We know the overall direction is down, but do we get a pullback before we get that continuation? All right. So that is gold. Right. Some might be in that move to the downside, right? Continue to manage your trade, right? Until it hits your TP level. TP1 was achieved, right? If you're holding a TP2, Benny talked about managing that trade, right? Maybe take some off the table, move that stop loss into profit, right? We'll see if we get a pullback, a high price, and then continuation down. The TP2 level. Questions on gold? No, you're welcome. You're welcome. Cool deal. Donette, happy birthday. Safe travels to you. Hope you enjoy your trip. Should be a fun one.
Happy birthday.
It's my friend's birthday.
Your son's birthday?
My friend's birthday.
Oh, your friend. Okay. I'll tell her we say happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Enjoy that trip to Dubai.
Yeah, we just got here today.
You got okay.
Earlier. Mm-hmm.
Glad you made it safe.
Thank you.
All right, good people. Any questions on anything that we covered today? No? Benny, anything before we wrap it up, bro?
No, sir. Great session. Great week. Let's keep it going.
And a beautiful week. All right, good people. Have a phenomenal Friday. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly ritual. We'll see you then. Peace.